The bakery box with my name and no order. The box was the kind bakeries use when they don't want gravity to win. White, folded at the corners like good manners. It sat on the counter with a paper ticket stapled to the twine, and the ticket said in a firm hand, "For Ben." I hadn't ordered anything. I fix signs for a living, real brush, real paint, the kind that still smells like decision, and I'd stopped for coffee I didn't need so I wouldn't get home too early. Marcus teaches third graders how to make their own questions. I try not to interrupt the last hour of the day he hasn't yet given away. Under Forben, someone had added with a black pen that knew how to stop. If you still choose repairs over finales, 720 back table T, bring water. The pen had scratched slightly through the paper as if it had practiced guilt and improved. It was 707. The baker raised an eyebrow the way people do when they know more than cake. "Your box," she said. "What's in it?" I asked, because there are times to be clever and this didn't want one of them. "Nothing," she said, "yet." The back table faced the window that looked at the alley, which is a polite way of saying it looked at what cities do with realism. A man sat there with a bike helmet looped through his bag and two paper cups inverted on the table as if he'd been rehearsing how to begin. He wore a blue work shirt with a clean patch where a name should go. He had the face of someone who doesn't mistake silence for a contract. "You're Ben," he said when I put the box down. "Usually," I said, "and your tea." "Tyler," he said, "but there's no bravery in using all the letters yet." He lifted one cup and set it upright. "You brought water." I held up a bottle from the corner store. "The cheapest pause we have," I said. He smiled in acknowledgement, not conquest. "Thank you for coming. I wasn't sure if the trick with the box would be charming or childish." "It's both," I said, "but it worked." From his bag he produced a small cloth-bound notebook that looked as if it belonged to someone who used tools but wiped them before putting them back. On the first page, stamped like the city's version of politeness, were the words "provisional rules." Below, in a hand that refused drama, "Nostalgia may testify but not judge. If either of us says water, we pause. No theatrical exits. If leaving is needed, leave. Don't perform it. Kind outranks clever. Sit where the exit is visible. These keep my crews from doing damage to neighbors we'll still have tomorrow," he said, tapping the page. "I work utility lines. There are ways to make messes loudly and ways to make repairs quietly. It's better not to confuse them." "I can add a sixth," I said, and he handed me a pen with the generosity of someone used to distributing wrenches. I wrote 6. If we become cowards, we say so in the present tense. He nodded like a bolt choosing the thread it meant to belong to. "Why me?" I asked, not as a dare, just to give the question somewhere to sit. He gestured vaguely toward the front of the bakery and then toward the world. "Last week I watched you paint the word open on that antique door like it was a promise only if you could keep it. The owner told you she wanted gold leaf, and you offered her air instead. You said, 'The space will do more work than the shine.' I stood around longer than my break allowed and thought, I have been gilding where what we need is breathing room." "Sometimes I gild," I said. "I am not an apostle." "Me neither," he said. "I've put cones where conversation belonged. I'd like to retire that habit before I start confusing safety with spectacle." We poured water and drank. It tasted like something you remember before you remember you're thirsty. Through the window, a delivery truck sighed like a patient parent. A teenager across the room asked for a bag with the seriousness of a jury. The baker made eye contact and handed him two napkins like a permission slip for later. "What's in the box?" I asked. He nudged it toward me. A promise that if you didn't show, you wouldn't be forced to carry more than paper, he said. And if you did, we would have somewhere to put what we decide to name. He opened the notebook to a blank page, drew a line down the middle, and wrote keep above the left column and avoid above the right. 3 lines each, he said. No adjectives that will make us trip tomorrow. I wrote, keep the size of our dinners, the chair near the door, the way Marcus says wait, smaller brush. Avoid always. Avoid letting jokes do the job of honesty. Avoid polishing the signs so much the words slide off. Tyler wrote quickly and folded the page as if addressing a city clerk. He slid it under the box's lid like he wanted the paper to feel useful. You said you work utility lines, I said. Do you ever get tired of apologizing for outages you didn't cause? He laughed once in a way that put the sound down gently. I get tired of pretending a fix is a show, he said. You bring the lift, you turn off the feed, you do the work, you restore. People clap only if you take too long. If we could get applause for being polite and quick, I'd start charging tickets. And the reason for the invitation, I said. He took a breath that was mostly air and partly intention. I've been with Jonah nearly 9 years, he said. We have a word we've used so long it keeps trying to be a parade. We're not enemies. We're not a future past tense. We're under maintenance. I wanted to talk to someone who knows the difference between making a sign bright and making it legible. I know the difference, I said. It doesn't always make me likable. I'm not here to audition for likable, he said. I'm here to build a walkway I won't fall off if the city changes its mind about the weather. We met again on purpose, and then by accident in the places where cities practice being less dramatic than they could be. A park bench whose paint had forgiven shoes. The back row of a neighborhood auditorium where the lights know how to step down. My shop after closing when the smell of enamel is what patients would choose if it did fragrances. He brought mandarins, and once, a tangerine that thought it could be a metaphor. I brought an old frame with a window cut to hold a word. I printed air for February and return for March and welcome for a day when the door forgot how to feel about itself. Tyler liked that the word could change without the frame pretending a funeral. At home, I told Marcus about the box and the rules and the bench. It isn't a secret, I said. It's instruction. He put 2 glasses on the table as if setting them down made gravity worth believing. Add this to the list, he said, writing on a sticky note in his careful teacher print. Promises must fit in a jacket pocket. He stuck it on the fridge next to a print I'd made for him years ago that reads put words away clean. He tapped the note. Pocket-sized or it becomes homework. Understood, I said. In March, the phone did what phones do when they think you owe them a novel. My mother had fallen in the kitchen and her femur had declared its independence. I sent 2 messages, water to Marcus, who replied already, and the same to Tyler, who sent back a picture of 2 cups on the tailgate of a service truck, and the caption also this holds. At the hospital, I slept in a chair that remembered better upholstery. My mother woke from surgery with the sentence I will steal until language has had enough of me. It doesn't burn anymore. I wrote my 3 lines that night on a folded map someone left by the elevator. Save the way nurses tuck blankets like punctuation. Avoid auditing pain. Save the corridor silence that lets the elevator be a machine instead of a stage. Work didn't become holy because I had a crisis. It just accepted being slightly more decent. A man brought in a window sign his grandfather had carved the word grocery into in 1951. He wanted gold. I offered glass cleaned, letters repainted, air around the edges, an invitation to be present that didn't require shining. He hesitated, then said, I thought fancy would mean respectful. I said, breathing does it cheaper. He smiled in a way that will do. If this were the kind of story that needed to ask your permission to be forgiven, somewhere there would be a neon kiss and a monologue about fate. There is. There is a lunch the three of us because some rooms deserve to meet and not compete. Tyler chose a diner that never learned to be embarrassed about being sturdy. We sat where we could see the door. Marcus asked Tyler what rule he uses with crews to keep afternoons from setting themselves on fire. Tyler said, "Water first," and Marcus wrote it like a man who knows how to give a lesson to a future version of himself. We ate. We told the check we had the cash between us. We left with nothing dramatic but a better memory of where to stand. Our evening ritual of 3 lines, keep and avoid, continued like trash day. Inconvenient if forgotten, soothing if obeyed. Keep the small dinners, keep the chair by the exit, keep the sentence, let's wait. Avoid always. Avoid letting jokes work overtime. Avoid making a patch look like a trophy. Sometimes Marcus would add a 1-line forecast to the thread that was not group chat so much as group maintenance. Words away, tools away. I want to be the kind of man who never mocks that sentence. In late spring, the bus we shared for a few extra blocks sighed and stopped like even engines need apologies. No one tried to will it forward by narrating. We held on to poles and patience. Tyler took 2 cups from his bag and poured what everybody already had in their bodies. A teenager across from us accepted one without thanks, which was appropriate. There are forms of gratitude you don't ask a day to entertain. By summer, the box had been used twice. Once to carry a lemon tart we didn't earn, and once to return the word welcome to the frame after a week where everything had tried to become impressive. The dry clean tag stayed attached to the twine with the word VALIDATED stamped on one corner like a city green lighting a crosswalk we already use. I like that word more than I thought I would. It's the receipt for doing the correct amount. A boy came into my shop in late July with his father and the kind of trumpet case that thinks it's a conversation starter. The father wanted to decorate the case with decals until the instrument forgot it was an instrument. "Why?" I asked, careful like you are with stubborn bolts. "So he sees it," the father said. I told him the case would be seen if the boy set it down less often. They both laughed, which kept me from becoming the kind of person who has to be right to stay upright. In September, Tyler brought a small box to the bench with 2 clip-on LEDs inside, the kind people in my trade call courtesy lights. "For your winter frame when the kitchen refuses to help," he said. In exchange, I cut him a mat that would hold an index card worth of definition. He slid home, a noun that survives new chairs into it, and put it on his mantle. Jonah didn't ask for a speech. He put it next to the corkscrew and looked at it when the evening tried to ask too much. If this were a moral, I'd end with a sentence asking you to be gentle and tidy all at once. If it were a parable, I'd pretend the box was actually faith or something braver. It's neither. It's a toolbox and 2 cups and a rule about nomming cowardice before it declares a holiday. It's 3 men learning how not to mistake exits for abandonment. It's a shop that smells like doing, a classroom that runs on patient questions, a utility truck with a picture of 2 cups on its tailgate. Tonight, the baker is closing early to go watch her niece be 9 in a gymnasium that used to be a church. She hands me the navy jacket, nobody claimed it, and says to put it in the back next to the box with the twine if I want. I do. The tag with my name is still stapled to it, but I stop seeing it like a destiny and start seeing it like a template, a way to label where to put the thing you intend to pick up again tomorrow. At home, Marcus asks, "What did you fix today?" And I say, "A sign that forgot to invite people instead of impress them." He says, "Water." And I say, "Yes," because I want that answer to be muscle memory. We drink. We sit in the chairs near the door not because we're planning to flee, but because we like remembering that we don't have to pin ourselves down to prove anything. If another box shows up with my name and nothing inside, I'll bring water and the notebook and the rule about promises that fit in jacket pockets. I'll sit where I can see the exit and not congratulate myself for being practical. I'll ask the other person what we keep and what we avoid, and I'll write only what I can carry. When we're finished, we'll leave the box empty because space is a thing, not a lack. In the morning, the bench will still be a bench. The shop will still smell like a reasonable future, and the sign I finish will be legible without applause. That will be enough.